The Treasurer has walked a fine line between giving people cost of living relief and bringing down inflation. It's not an exact science, of course, so only time will tell if it works. This is a budget to address the concerns of households right now. Energy bill relief at its centre, of course, and it's not means tested. It's for everyone, as it should be. It doesn't matter how much you earn, it's your money, and it's needed to be for all households to have that disinflationary effect. Long term, there is pain ahead. Australia is almost $1 trillion in debt, and our interest payments on that, well, they're $35 billion a year now. That's just in interest that we're all paying. The future problems are plenty, a decade of deficits ahead. But the truth is, no government, Liberal or Labor, have done anything meaningful on structural deficits for at least a decade. There's no political incentive to do so, especially this close to an election. Let's bring in Trudy McIntosh now. She's here at the desk with me, out of the cold in Canberra. Look, perhaps this sounds a little bit mean of me, but I think this budget will just fade away. We won't be talking about it in a couple of days' time. And that might be a measure of success for Jim Chalmers. What everyone is kind of wrapped up in today is that Labor didn't means test this energy rebate. But, you know, we've just heard from the coalition. They're not going to stand in the way either. They're just going to grumble about it.
Yeah, perfect way to grumble, but you're not going to vote against it. And this is the point on budgets is interesting, Laura. Most good budgets go away within a day or two. The worst actually linger because there's big political problems.
I was talking about the hockey one 10 years ago.
That stinker, and we still talk about it. But this, the key measure, by this time of the day, it's all boiled down to this $300 energy rebate going to all households. The Prime Minister's been pressed on that in every single interview he seemed to do this morning. He's standing by this, saying it should go to everyone. Everyone's feeling pressure. And also, it's about the practicality of trying to roll this out. Your energy company doesn't know how much you earn, and to figure that out would have been more complicated. But Peter Dutton, fascinating to say, I'll vote for it. I don't really support it for the high end, but I won't tell you what a high-income earner is. Have a look.
We've got the settings right. We want to make sure that people we know are under pressure right up and down the income scale. It's the most efficient way for it to be delivered.
We'll support the bill that the government's putting through because, as we saw with the tax cuts, they won't change their position. But I don't understand why you and I on high incomes would be getting $300.
Would you cap it? Would you means test it?
I think there's a more sensible way of doing it.
I tell you what, Peter Dutton does have an opportunity, though. This does set up the coalition to be quite distinctive when it comes to personal income tax, I think, at the next election, revive parts of the stage 3. But, you know, the structural deficits, I again argue that no government has done anything meaningful about this since the hockey budget. And we know how that worked. It didn't go down well because what successive elections have shown, Trudy, is that I don't think voters care that much about, you know, the number of zeros of government debt. I mean, it does matter because we're paying $35 billion in interest, but it's about the here and now, and inflation is thieving from people. It's making life hard, and Jim Chalmers wants this budget to be disinflationary. That's kind of why that energy rebate is economy-wide, and there's a number of other measures. But look, it's not an exact science, and some economists this morning are pretty, you know, on the fence about whether it is going to have an effect.
Well, Chris Richardson last hour on this program making it clear that he doesn't believe necessarily the Treasurer's got this right. It's a big gamble for him, making different assessments than what the Reserve Bank has when it comes to inflation. He points to 2 measures, the energy rebates and also an increase to Commonwealth rent assistance, that will take 0.5% off inflation this year, getting it back to the target band the Reserve Bank's looking for. Inside the budget, they're saying we could see rates coming down from the middle of next year. That's their assumption anyway. Chris Richardson, though, is just not that confident that given the money the states are also pumping out, think of Queensland, $1,000 off your energy bill. Now you're going to get an extra $300 on that. If that money's being freed up there, are people then going to spend it somewhere else?
That is a lot of extra money going into the economy, and yet Treasury sees a really rapid fall in the inflation rate. I'd love it if it's true. I'm not convinced that it is.
They're trying to buy themselves an interest rate cut before the election and pretend that everything's okay, whereas it's not. As all of the credible economists have said overnight, this is inflationary.
You heard Peter Dutton mention it there. There's a lot of talk now about an election. This is going to be the continual speculation for the next 12 months. Anthony Albanese not ruling it out, not confirming it's going to be this year, talking about 2025 as the due date. Have a look.
Will there be an early election?
We're focused on the economy and getting all of the settings right.
Will there be an election this year, yes or no?
We're not focused on politics, Peter. What we're focused on, the election, is due in 2025.
It's a nice try from Pete there, I thought, but if the PM was going to say, yes, there's an election this year, you just do a Julia Gillard and set the calendar. He was never going to confirm it one way or another. They only go when they think they're going to win, and he's not going to tell you when that is.
And the PM's prerogative to keep that date close to his chest. We don't have fixed terms yet.
He would like them, but we're not having them.
Yeah, we'd like
no more
them.
referendums.
Exactly.